Folks, we have a very special guest joining us for a little conversation today. I'm super excited for all of you to meet my dear friend, Brandy Maslowski. If you don't know her, she is truly a quilter on fire. So let's get started. Oh, that is right, my friends. I am so blessed to have Brandy joining me today. And if you want to join Brandy, she is going to be teaching on a quilting cruise. It is May 14th through 21st, 2023 in the Caribbean or the Caribbean, however you prefer. It's going to be awesome, but I want you all to get to know Brandy right now. Here she is, the quilter on fire. Brandy, how are you?
I'm great, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Thank you for blessing us with joining us today. This is incredible.
I'm so happy to be here, and you can see the quilt right behind me, so we'll talk about that a bit more later.
Oh my gosh, you already threw out one quick tease. This is amazing. And I haven't even really gone through all of your credentials. I've been joking about you being the quilter on fire, but where that comes from, folks, is Brandy's podcast is called Quilter on Fire, and that's where I was blessed to meet Brandy the first time. Was it about 2 years ago or so now?
Yeah, it was Christmas.
Yeah. So yeah, Christmas 2021 episode is where you can hear our conversation on there. And I thought this would be really fun, folks. Basically, Brandy has written her own interview questions today because I've stolen most of my questions from Brandy's podcast. So Brandy, are you ready for this? Why don't you tell us where you're coming from today and who are those loved ones you surround yourself with?
I am coming to you today from Summerland, BC, Canada, and I surround myself with my mom, who lives with us, and my husband and my son, Gavin, and I also have an adorable little pup named Luna, and yeah, so I surround myself with my beautiful family, and I have this glorious studio downstairs where I get to do all my work in my private sanctuary, and they leave me alone pretty much when I'm working in my studio, but yeah, they're my joy every day.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic. And so you're recording this interview also in your studio, correct? And yeah. I see your beautiful symbol, your flag of Canada, but you were mentioning the quilt behind you is the quilt that you're teaching on the cruise. Is that true?
Yes, this is the Serenity Cruise quilt. So there's me and Michelle both teaching on the cruise. There are two great quilts that you'll be making, and it's going to be so much fun. You're going to fill your toolbox with a whole bunch of new techniques.
Oh, this is fantastic. And have you ever done a quilting cruise before?
I have. I did a very, very big quilting cruise with 50 quilters way back, I think, in 2014. And it was a 15-day cruise to Hawaii and back. So it was a handful of work, but oh my goodness, we had so much fun. And I made some friends for life.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things as well about traveling with quilters. And I hope I didn't just steal your answer as well. But, you know, for somebody that hasn't gone on a quilting cruise, what would you use to entice them to join you on your quilting cruise? I mean, what is your favorite part about quilting and cruising together?
Well, it's so fun to see the locations you're going to. It's super fun to do the projects with a whole bunch of new quilting friends. But the thing that draws quilters in the most is the friends that you make and the friends that you keep for years to come. You just can't find that anywhere else because you're together. It's a retreat-like experience, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, there's something about being in part of this quilting community that really it's a huge fellowship. Everywhere you go, you say you're a quilter and you immediately have people hugging on you and like rubbing your fiber for whatever reason that is. Have you noticed the touchy-feeliness of the quilting industry?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just went on a cruise with my mom and sister that had nothing to do with quilting, and I bumped into a quilter and we hit it off like you wouldn't believe because I was hand stitching and she literally came running over.
Oh my gosh. Did she recognize you from the podcast when she told her kind of what you do?
She didn't recognize me because I'm Canadian, and I get recognized once in a while in the US, but not that often. But she came running over when she saw my paper piecing, and she told me all about her own paper piecing project that she was working on. So it was fun.
That's awesome. Well, one of the questions, I know I'm kind of focused on the podcast, but for me, that's something that's really special because there are not a lot of podcasters in the quilting industry. And I love your podcast. I've started listening to it more and more recently because I realized, my gosh, the people that you are interviewing, these are serious A-listers. Like one of my favorites recently is you did the whole Cave Collective. And so can you tell folks at home a little bit more about what the podcast is like, how long you've been doing it, how it's opening doors for you? Because this is really impressive. I mean, you are on fire with this podcast.
Yeah, I started the podcast during the pandemic because I realized that I really missed my podcast I was doing way back in 2013 and 2014. So I started it up again, and it has really grown my business and my quilting community because I'm reaching out to these people who have such great stories to tell. And I ended up interviewing one person, Anna Maria Horner, who's connected with Free Spirit Fabrics, and that just blossomed everything from there because CAIF is all connected with Free Spirit. And we've just been running ever since. So it's been so fun. I did the entire CAIF Facet Collective, and the really fun part about those 4 episodes that I did in August was that at the end I was in the UK for the Festival of Quilts Birmingham, and I got to meet CAIF Facet in person in his home with Brandon, and I did a tour. It was like a dream come true. It was awesome.
I kind of figured you might rub the salt in the wounds of all the quilters out there that yes, she just did say she was having tea with CAIF in his home in the UK.
I know. I know. It was really kind of surreal because after that at the quilt show, I saw him and we said hi, and I was looking around at all these quilters that were lined up to get book signings and everything, and I was having this moment of, I was just in his house yesterday. I couldn't even believe it. It was a real joy to get that inside look at his creative practice every day and where he lives. His house was amazing.
Brandy, he gave you an amazing interview because I've only met CAIF a few times, and he's always been surrounded, and he's always been, in my opinion, pretty quiet. And he went deep into his life and his history. I learned so much about CAIF in that interview that you did with him. I was blown away with what he shared with you. It was incredible.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I do so much research on each guest, and when I found out that CAIF had said yes to being on my show, I literally did a deep dive into his history all the way back to where he was born in California. So I was just, I was blown away by his answers, but I was so excited to ask him questions that he hadn't been asked before. I think that's kind of the key. People want to hear the story that hasn't been out there in the public over and over. So.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been getting some, like I said, I'm kind of hooked on this podcast right now because the more I listen, the more I'm hearing. And it's funny, and most all of you probably think that I think, because it's right, that I think I'm a know-it-all in the quilting industry because I've been around for 20 plus years. But what I've learned in the last few months, it's just been great. I took a road trip recently and listened to several episodes back to back. I was binging, I guess you could say, and it was awesome, Brandy. You're doing great. So, but it does sound like, and you and I are friends as well. We check in once a month with each other to make sure we're healthy, we're happy, we're quilting, that kind of stuff. But you're traveling a lot more. Is that because of the podcast, or is that just because of everything that's going on in your world?
Oh yeah, I'm traveling so much, and it is because of the podcast. I'm traveling to shows because I want to do podcasts on site. I want to, I did podcasting for Houston last year in November. I did podcasting for QuiltCon, and that was just so awesome. I want to interview the winners and the organizers and the people who are influencers at the show, and I even interview the vendors so that we can talk about the latest, greatest products. So that's why I'm traveling so much. I just want to get great content for you on the podcast.
Yeah, well, it's working. It's fantastic. So has there been like a favorite place you've traveled recently, or something maybe you want to tell folks that are coming up that they should listen for?
Well, you know what? I really enjoyed, if you want to listen to the recap of the UK show, I had never been to the Festival of Quilts in Birmingham. And I have to say that CAIF was the highlight of that entire show. But another thing, if you're a fiber artist or a textile artist, you want to listen to my quick little interview with Linda and Laura Kemshall. And those guys are going to be coming up on the podcast in the new year. I am so excited about those two because I've never had any contact with them before that, and I've been following them for 15 years. So those are some real creative textile artists that you really want to watch for.
Wow. Well, and I've got this whole list of questions I want to ask so that I kind of stay focused. And I know that you're a Bernina ambassador, and I know that you're a national quilt judge as well. But I've heard you many times, I guess, identify yourself as a textile artist, where I call myself a quilt maker. Can you tell me is there a difference? What's a textile artist in Brandy's world?
Well, I think it's really important that we have this conversation about what do you call yourself, because it really doesn't matter. You can call yourself anything that you want to call yourself. I call myself a quilt maker and textile artist because I kind of think that An art quilter is redundant because quilting is art, and fiber artist moves into the realm of baskets and wood and other fibers like that that might not be textile related. So I really work with fabric and yarns and wools, and I do surface design with paint and everything, but textile is kind of the word that fits with me the most because of the fabric component.
Got it. Got it. So, and it's still focused a lot around the quilting, but it's not as limited, like you said. Okay, that makes sense. I hadn't thought about that, being an art quilter is a redundant word, but you're right. I think all of us will agree quilts are definitely art. So.
Oh, absolutely.
That's wild. But hey, you know, I might have grazed over something that folks didn't pick up on. There's two things we're going to talk about here next. A Bernina ambassadorship. Like, wow, what an honor. Can you tell me more about that?
I know. I am so excited to be connected to Bernina. I've been using my little Bernina 135 for 20 years. And I was looking around to figure out who can I connect with to get involved with Bernina. And they just didn't have a program in Canada. So there are a number of years, the last 3 or 4 years, I've been kind of floundering like, should I stick with Bernina? And then when I decided that I might take the leap over to another brand, Bernina contacted me directly and said, wait a minute, what's going on? Let's get you on board. And they started a Canadian Bernina Ambassador program. So I'm so excited. There are about 9 of us involved now. And we've had our first Canadian Bernina Ambassador retreat in the beginning of September.
Oh, I bet that was exciting.
It was so fun. I learned so much. They gave us a tour of the whole headquarters, and we learned so much more about our new machines. And I've got my new baby right here.
Yeah. What model is that?
So this is a B770 Quilters Edition.
Ooh, pretty nice. I think I might be getting my hands on something similar as well, because apparently the rumor is Deb is upgrading, and she's got, I think it's a 770 in her studio that we'll put out here in California. I'm still trying to talk Stitchin Heaven into carrying Juki, but right now we're in the middle of our big remodel, and they love their Bernina machines and their handy quilter machines, and they're pretty happy with them. So at any rate, I've been sewing on the Bernina in Texas when I go out there, and I've been very impressed with the equipment. Well, we all know Bernina's a great brand, but it's a huge honor because I have looked at the paperwork, I have looked at what it takes to become an ambassador, and it's no easy task. And so I just want to say congratulations, well done.
Well, thank you. And if you have not tried a Bernina machine yet, then come on the cruise, because there are Bernina machines on the cruise, and you can join us and try out a brand new machine.
Oh, right. So maybe that's the second answer. Not only do you build all these wonderful friendships, but so my grandfather used to love to take the family on cruises as a family reunion. He would say he was spending his inheritance on us while we all could enjoy it together. When I realized, and partly my grandmother was in a wheelchair, so it was easier for him, I believe, to get on board on the cruise, unpack once, and we could all do all of these different things and come back together and do different things and come back together. I'm also saying, if you're not really listening in code, we're bringing your sewing machines and a lot of your supplies for you, so you don't have to pack too heavy. So when you go to port, you can pick up all of those wonderful hanging ceramic parrots and blankets and sombreros and all the things that you'll all the silly stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Right? It's so true. And you don't even have to pick out the fabric. You can actually buy a kit, and I cannot wait. I'm about to get the kit that Stitchin Heaven has chosen, because of course fabric changes every year. We're going to get an all new selection of fabric. I can't wait to have it in my hands and make a sample for the cruise.
Oh, good. Well, this is something that maybe I can teach everybody, and you don't have to know this answer, so I'm sorry for putting you on the spot. Any idea if your cruise quilt kit is considered laser cut or pre-cut quilt kit?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I said I was putting you on the spot. Folks, if you don't know, we offer 2 different kinds of kits depending on what we're doing with them, and that's expanding at Stitchin Heaven. But if it says pre-cut or laser cut, that means every piece is cut to the size or the shape that you need. So you really don't even really need a rotary cutter most of the time. So if it just says a kit, then it's going to be like a fat quarter or half yard. But if it says pre-cut or laser cut, it's going to be that exact 3 by 6.5 inch rectangle or that interesting little wedge shape or whatever you're using. It's really pretty cool the way the kits are done. And again, it makes cruising and traveling and quilting together so much easier and stuff. But now there are, and please don't let me discredit any of the Bernina ambassadors out there, but I think the bigger gold star on Brandy's credentials list is she is a national certified quilt judge, and that is a ton of work to become a quilt judge. So Brandy, could you tell folks a bit about being a quilt judge?
Yes, this has been such an amazing journey for me. I have been in the NACQJ Quilt Judge program for the last 5 years.
Wow.
And normally you can certify between 3 and 5 years. You do all your study and you do all your paperwork, and then you do some paneling and you can become a judge. But I was ready to do my paneling at 3 years, and then the pandemic hit. So it was delayed quite a while. But the reason I decided to become a judge is because I consider myself a textile artist, and I'm really fascinated by modern quilting. I love traditional quilting as well, and I wanted to be really good at doing every type of quilting if I'm going to be a judge. And so every time something came across my table, if I didn't know how to do a cathedral window, I would make one. And so that was part of the journey to become a better quilter myself. And it was just so rewarding. The group of people that are mentoring there are incredible. And I'm just so proud to be part of that organization. And I'm so thrilled to be certified as a judge. It was a really, really long journey.
Well, what's interesting to me is, and Brandy and I have joked about this, she knows I do not care for quilt judges. So I think. I actually love Brandy, and I think I like this concept of quilt judging too, now that I think about it. I also don't like surf contests, but I go down and watch them all. So it's just one of these silly things. Maybe I just don't like to compete. But what I'm getting towards is I listen to Brandy ask these really in-depth questions. If one of her guests is going to be somebody that has gone down that road or won awards or whatnot, because she has a lot of these kinds of guests on the show now, she asks some of these really interesting questions that I think is coming from the quilt judge background. Can you confirm that, Brandy?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when we're talking about a quilter that has won a few different awards, I have looked at their quilts in detail, and I can talk about, how did you put your color palette together? Because it just sings to the viewer. And, how did that stitching complement this or that? And it's just so great to have that conversation with the person who had that creative journey themselves. And I think it just brings a lot to my listener when they can hear it from the perspective of a quilt judge.
Yeah, what I'm really trying to say is I didn't know I wanted this information. I didn't know I was interested in the information. And as I listen to you help unfold it for me, it is something I'm actually very interested in. Not because I want to compete, but I think that craftsmanship or quality in our work or striving to do better, just hearing what some of the things that folks are looking for, it's fun. It helps me think of what's the next thing I would like to improve upon, because I think that quilting or all art forms are some things we can grow with as well. So, pretty neat. Now, I know that I don't want to give too much away. Online courses is something that you are getting ready. Can we talk about this a little?
Well, it's about to launch, but yeah, I'm willing to spill the beans for you a little bit.
Okay.
I'm about to launch my new signature course online, and it all starts with my boot camp. So I have a 3-day boot camp coming up in November, and this is called Square One, Stepping into Textile Art. So if you are a quilter and you've been thinking about taking a little bit of that creative journey and stepping into surface design and those kind of things, then this is the course for you. So it starts with a 3-day boot camp where you make your very first block, your first square of textile art. We put it into a little quilt, and then from there you can go into the signature program, which is 6 huge modules of textile art, and it really is the fundamentals. So it's for beginners and beginners alone. So beginners, come on over and try some textile art with me.
But as you learn with Brandy, you're also going to learn good habits in case you want to go on to show and or compete or be judged into shows. So this is one of the things that I'm just putting words in Brandy's mouth for her, but I can guarantee you will be learning the proper way to do some of the things if becoming a judged quilter is something that's important to you. So this is really exciting, and one of the reasons that Brandy and I became friends during the pandemic is we were helping share each other technology tricks and techniques and stuff. And so it's been really fun to watch Brandy grow, and this is something I know that's been a dream of hers. So congratulations again, my friend, in getting one more hurdle behind you. This is really exciting. I can't wait to see what you do with your online courses. I know they're going to be just amazing. So.
Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to get them started.
Yeah, I bet. It's been a lot of work, hasn't it?
It has been. Really.
There's something else I kind of know the answer, but I know that not very many folks at home know the answer. But I would love to hear kind of bouncing forward into working with the public and stuff, because we've been talking about it like your podcast and a lot of the famous people you interview. Do you have any fun quilt stories or things that have happened as you've traveled recently that you'd like to share with us?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. Now I'm trying to remember the story that I told you I was going to tell you.
I think it might have been about your group of favorite quilters that get mad if they think anyone else is becoming a favorite quilter.
Oh, right. Okay, so I have had so many quilt shows that I have really been overjoyed to be a part of as the teacher or speaker. But there was one quilt show in Regina, Saskatchewan, which was my favorite quilt show of all time. And the reason it was my favorite quilt show is because it was the first quilt show that invited me to be the teacher, the speaker, and the judge. And when I went up on that stage, it was called the Eye Candy Quilt Show. And I was so excited about this quilt show that I had bought a special dress from a secondhand store. It was white with black and fuchsia polka dots. And I got up on that stage, I twirled around, I did my thing, and then I did this little giveaway where I had this huge stack of chocolate colored fat quarters. And I said to the entire group, there was over 200 people in the audience with this beautiful dining tables and everything. I said to them, you know, what do you call yourself? It's really important that you call yourself what you want to be and you reach for that. And you know, if you're thinking, gee, I'm just not that creative, well, just go there and do it anyway. And so I talk about what you call yourself in my lecture. And I said, in fact, I call myself, you know, a textile artist and a quilt maker and a modern quilter and a quilting diva and a chocolate-aholic, depending on the given day. And so I said the first person who gets up on this stage with milk chocolate for me wins this giant stack of fat quarters. And so all of a sudden in the audience there were purses and pens flying and people were jumping out of their seats, and one lady dove onto the stage with her chocolate. I hauled her up. She didn't even take the stairs on either side. She jumped onto the stage and she came up and I gave her a hug and gave her the gift, and she gave me the chocolate and she was walking away. And I said, wait a minute. And she turned around and put her head down because she knew she was in trouble. And I said, this chocolate is half eaten. And you can't even make that stuff up. Like, she had her head down and she felt so bad. And I said to the audience, should I still give her this prize? And everyone was like a resounding no. And I said, well, I'll still give her the prize, but I will break off the chocolate and I won't eat the part that she's already eaten. So yeah, that was pretty fun. And if I go to any other quilt show from that quilt show, like I told that executive that this was my favorite quilt show of all time. If I go to any other quilt show and I post online anything about how much I loved it, they contact me in the comments right away and they say, are we still your favorite? And yes, Regina, you are still my favorite.
Oh, that is awesome. You know, I probably would have chased the gal downstage and just taken a handful of fat quarters out of the bin and just said, okay, now we're even, and put them in my pocket. That's... Oh, yeah. That is classic. Oh man, that brings a real smile. Sorry, I'm still laughing a little warm. I love that story. Thank you for sharing it, Brandy. You know, one of the things that I'm getting a kick out of is sharing with everybody at home what I believe is the real reason I'm quilting, which is it's helping me with my mental and physical wellness. I enjoy quilting because it makes me feel better, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of you've heard that story. I know, I didn't tell everybody yet at home, Brandy's a first responder. She's worked with the fire department for a bazillion years. You wanted to share some of your struggles with us as well. So we just had a great laugh here. Are you ready to make us cry? What is one of Brandy's greatest struggles?
Well, I can tell you that my biggest struggle is my self-care, which means my daily stitching, my daily creative practice. That is my biggest struggle. And if you've heard my trunk show, you know, I speak all over North America. If you've heard my trunk show, you know my story from firefighter to textile artist. And my biggest struggle is actually sitting down and doing that daily practice of quilting, because I know that it's good for me. I know that it's my creative grace and my healing, but I tend to let it fall off the end of my task list every day. Your self-care is the first thing that you should be dealing with every morning when you wake up. But by the end of the day, if I haven't done my stitching, I know that it's fallen off the end of my task list and I'm focusing on all the other crazy things in my business that I need to do. So that is my biggest struggle, just to make sure I have that creative practice, that methodical, mind-calming practice of stitching every single day. As a firefighter, I need that every day to heal from the past traumas. So it really works for me when I do it well, and I know after a few days if I haven't done it, oh gosh, I got to get back into my creative practice.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I agree. I have to do something creative at the end of each day, or it just kind of feels like the day, yeah, I just don't feel complete as well. And I certainly hope I don't sound too chauvinistic in saying this, but I do know that a lot of quilters are ladies that are moms and or grandmothers or homemakers that take care of everybody around them, and the last person they take care of is themselves. And so this is one of the reasons that I believe so strongly in quilting and sewing and drawing and all kinds of arts and crafts, working with our hands. It doesn't take long for us to help to settle down and settle in and just process. We all have emotions, but if you listen carefully, and we were talking about travel, on those airplanes they say, put on your own oxygen mask first. So please, folks, take care of yourselves with a little daily care routine, whether that's breathing, yoga, eating right, stitching right, something like that, and help you process, because we have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of all those others around us. So anyways, that's my soapbox for the day as well. So.
Yeah, and I can actually do a little plug here for a podcast episode coming up at Christmas on December 20th. I'm going to have...
Yes, please.
I'm going to have Tula Pink on the podcast, and she has this incredible creative practice. Every single day she is doing hand stitching, so we can take a note from her on how she does. She is so busy, she gets so much accomplished, has such an incredible business mind, but she still does that daily practice every single day.
Yeah, incredibly important, incredibly important. Brandy, I'm looking around the room at all these cameras. I got a giant timer going. We have less than 3 minutes of footage left. And I know that one of the things you love to do is finish your interviews and your podcast with a lightning round robin series of questions for your guests. So are you ready? Will you tolerate the lightning round robin with me today? This is a rapid series of questions. Can you do it?
I'm in.
You're in. Okay, here we go, folks. Let's see if we can get them all in the last 3 minutes. Brandy, do you have a favorite notion?
I do have a favorite notion. It's called Snag Magic, and you can find it on my website. It's my favorite.
Okay, what about, do you have any little collections?
I do. I have so many ridiculous collections, but my collections are actually my little vignettes. I have little vignettes all over my studio, and if you book my studio's lecture, you'll be able to see them when I do the walk around. Or you can see it when you see the Stitchin Heaven video, actually, because you guys just did a studio tour.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I'm looking forward to catching all those little collections laying around.
Yeah.
Okay, what about a reward system? Do you have any little reward system that you treat yourself to for getting things done around the studio or the home?
I do. It's probably not good for the waistline, but it's definitely peanut M&Ms. I love them, and I always have a little dish there, and every time I accomplish something big, I grab a handful.
Yeah, I would say peanut M&Ms are one of my favorites as well. Good reward system for sure. What would other quilters not know about you?
Well, if they haven't seen my trunk show, they wouldn't know that I was a firefighter for many years before I sort of branched into my quilting business. But I think quilters wouldn't know that I suffer from PTSD, and that has been the reason why I need that daily practice of methodical stitching. It really works for me. It has literally saved my life.
Oh, well, I'm so glad it has, Brandy. I'm so glad it has. Any furry friends in the studio with you?
Oh yes, I have my baby. She is Luna. She's a chocolate lab. She's 1 year old now. She is so well behaved. My husband is training her so hard. She's a bundle of energy, but she just brings so much joy into our house.
Oh, that's fantastic. Awesome. We did it. Oh my gosh. And Brandy, thank you for being here, but I'm going to turn the camera over to you. Please plug yourself. Let everybody know where they can find and follow you.
You can find me everywhere online as The Quilter on Fire. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I even have a YouTube channel. And of course, you can listen to the podcast every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
And that's right, folks. You've got to get out there and listen to Quilter on Fire podcast. It is incredible. I know you'll enjoy all of the fantastic stories while you're in your sewing room. Please let us know in the comments below which is your favorite episode so far, or who you would love to hear Brandy interview on the Quilter on Fire podcast. Thanks again for being here. Brandy, thank you so much for being here with us today. And everyone, stay well. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.